So Wall Street, huh? They just rolled out the red carpet for a pretty major player in the crypto world.
Yeah, that's right. Circle Internet Group.
Exactly. The company behind one of the most used stablecoins out there, they hit the stock market just this past Thursday, June 5th, 2025.
Right on the New York Stock Exchange.
Big stage.
It really felt like more than just, another tech IPO. It felt significant, like a real meeting point between digital assets and, well, the old guard of finance.
Definitely. And Circle's not exactly small fry. They issue USDC and EURC too, right? Which are fundamental for a lot of crypto stuff.
Absolutely fundamental.
So yeah, we're basing this deep dive on an article that really breaks down Circle's public debut. And our mission today basically is to unpack what stablecoins actually are, why Circle is such a big deal in that space, and what does it mean that they're now on the stock market for crypto and traditional finance mixing.
It's a great question. Let's dive in. Because, there's the immediate market stuff, but there are also these, deeper questions about where all this integration is headed.
Okay, so the main event, Circle goes public, Thursday, June 5th, NYSE.
Yeah.
Ticker symbol, CRCL.
CRCL.
Yep. And the market reaction right off the bat, pretty eye-catching, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely captured attention. I mean, the stock was initially priced at $31 a share.
Which was already higher than they expected, right?
Yeah.
Like $27, $28 was the range.
Exactly. Already above expectations. And they actually sold more shares, too. Bumped it up to 34 million from, I think, 32 million planned.
Wow. Okay. And then the opening bell rings.
Well, it took off. Saw quite a run. The article mentioned it soared above $96 a share at one point Thursday.
Yeah, $6 from 31.
Yeah. Before settling down a bit and closing the day at $83.23. Still a massive gain.
Okay, so what does that kind of, first day pop actually tell us?
Well, that kind of immediate surge, it signals really strong investor appetite. Maybe a real belief in Circle's specific model within the crypto world.
Yeah.
And it's like the biggest public listing for a crypto-related company since Coinbase back in 2021.
Yeah, Coinbase. Big splash.
Huge. So this kind of reinforces that idea that, institutional money, the big players, they're getting more interested in this sector, especially stablecoins. They're looking for ways in.
Okay. Significant market reaction. Got it. But let's back up a sec. Who is Circle, really? And what exactly are these stablecoins like USDC that they're known for?
Right. So Circle Internet Group, primarily known as the issuer of USDC and also EURC. Now, unlike the cryptos you hear about all the time, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the ones that bounce all over the place.
The volatile ones.
Exactly. Stablecoins are designed completely differently. Their goal is to maintain a stable value.
Okay, stable. But how? How do they manage that stability?
They're pegged to real-world assets. So for USDC, it's pegged 1-to-1 with the US dollar.
1 USDC equals $1. Simple as that.
In theory, yes, that's the goal. And EURC, same idea, but pegged to the euro. It's all about creating a digital asset that, doesn't give you whiplash checking its price every 5 minutes.
Okay. So that's stability. That's the main selling point. It makes them sound way more practical for, actual transactions, paying for things, sending money.
Precisely. That lack of volatility is their core benefit. It makes them a much, much more reliable way to handle commerce or just hold value within the whole digital asset world compared to the others.
Right.
They kind of act like a bridge, between traditional finance needing stability and the digital world wanting efficiency.
And Circle's position in this stablecoin world, they're not just a player, they're like a major force.
Oh, absolutely. They are the second most popular stablecoin by market cap.
Second biggest. Who's first?
That would be Tether, USDT. They're the largest currently, somewhere around $150 billion in circulation, give or take.
Okay, $150 billion. And Circle's USDC?
Still substantial.
Yeah.
Around $60 billion in circulation for USDC.
$60 billion circulating. That's a huge number. And the article also mentions something about the transaction volume, how much USDC has actually been used.
Yeah, the numbers there are pretty staggering. According to Circle themselves, USDC has been used for over, get this, $25 trillion in on-chain transactions since they launched in 2018.
25 trillion on-chain. That just means transactions recorded on the blockchain, right?
Exactly, recorded publicly on a blockchain network. So that $25 trillion figure, it just shows how deeply embedded USDC already is, how widely it's used for moving value around digitally.
Okay. So their coin is used for massive volumes, but how do they actually make money? Where does the $1.7 billion in revenue the article mentioned come from?
Right, good question. It's actually quite a clever model, and it ties right back to that stability thing we talked about.
Okay.
Stablecoin issuers like Circle, they basically make their profits by collecting the interest or yield on the assets they hold in reserve to back the stablecoins.
Wait, so when I trade, say, $100 for 100 USDC, Circle takes my $100 and invests it.
Essentially, yeah. But in very specific ways. Circle states the assets backing USDC are held in like super low risk, very liquid things. They list cash, short-dated U.S. treasuries.
Okay, like government debt, very safe.
Extremely safe. Short-term loans to the U.S. government and also overnight U.S. Treasury repurchase agreements with leading global banks.
Sounds complicated, but basically more very short-term secure lending.
Exactly. Think of it as them lending out the reserve cash very securely for like overnight periods. They earn interest on all these safe holdings. And that interest is a primary revenue stream. And it's been incredibly profitable, especially, with interest rates going up recently. That's how you see that jump from like $15 million revenue in 2020 to $1.7 billion in 2024.
Wow, okay. That makes sense. Now, this IPO, it didn't just happen in a quiet corner, right? It's happening when there's a lot of talk, a real push for regulating stablecoins, especially in the U.S.
That context is absolutely critical. You can't separate the IPO from it. It lands right in the middle of these active efforts in the U.S. to actually pass laws to regulate stablecoin issuers.
Like actual bills in Congress.
Yeah. The article mentions a Senate bill specifically that advanced just last month, and it had bipartisan support, which is, notable.
Yeah, it tells you something's moving.
Right. It signals policymakers are serious and companies like Circle are definitely operating under, let's say, an increasing regulatory spotlight.
And it's not just regulation. There's also more competition popping up, isn't there?
Yes.
The article mentioned one interesting example.
It did. Yeah. The source noted that a crypto enterprise partly owned by the Trump family recently launched its own stablecoin called USD1, I think.
USD1, okay.
And look, that's just one example, but it shows that, established players, even new groups with name recognition, are looking at this market and seeing opportunity, which definitely heats up the competition for Circle.
So with regulators watching more closely and new competitors jumping in, how does Circle try to stand out? What's their pitch?
Well, according to the article, they really emphasize their track record. Being around for a while in crypto terms, they talk about their company values, their mission. The article quotes their goal as to raise global economic prosperity through the frictionless exchange of value.
Okay, so leaning on being established, trusted, mission-driven.
Kind of, yeah. Basically presenting themselves as like the reliable grown-up choice in a field that's still evolving and, frankly, getting more crowded.
It does help to sort of picture the scene, too. Like Jeremy Allaire, the CEO, co-founder, he's right there on the NYSE floor.
Ringing the opening bell.
You see the pictures? Him with the NYSE president, Lynn Martin, talking to the specialists.
Absolutely. Seeing those images, it really underscores that this wasn't just like a digital listing. It was a physical thing, a very public integration into those traditional market spaces.
And they even had that bull sculpture outside the NYSE, specifically for this Circle IPO, that classic Wall Street symbol.
Right. Greeting a crypto-native company. That visual kind of says it all, doesn't it? Wall Street isn't just watching anymore. They're like actively participating, even celebrating this kind of connection.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. Let's connect it back to you listening right now. Why should Circle going public actually matter to you?
Well, I think it matters because it's a really significant step. It's bringing these digital assets, these stable coins, further into the mainstream financial world.
Okay, so what does that mean practically?
For you, it could mean down the line, maybe greater access to digital money. It might impact how you send money, receive money, pay for things, how you interact with financial services generally. And it also signals that maybe, just maybe, some regulatory clarity is coming, which is actually really important for the long-term health and safety of this whole digital asset space.
Right, rules of the road.
Exactly. So it's like a step towards stablecoins becoming maybe a more normal, perhaps even unavoidable part of how money works globally.
Okay, good summary. So let's just quickly recap the journey we took here. We saw Circle, major stablecoin player, make a big splash on the NYSE. Successful debut, stock price jumped. We clarified what stablecoins like USDC actually are. Are these digital currencies pegged to things like the dollar or euro, giving them that crucial stability needed for real transactions?
Right. And we looked at Circle Scale number 2 stablecoin, trillions in transactions, and we unpacked their business model, earning interest on those reserves. pretty profitable, especially lately.
Yep, leading to that big revenue growth.
Yeah.
Plus, we put it all in context. The regulatory push happening right now in the U.S., that Senate bill, and the growing competition in the stablecoin market, too.
Absolutely. And the key takeaway really is that this IPO, it's more than just Circle's story. It feels like a signal fire.
A signal of what?
Of the increasing maturity, maybe, of the stablecoin market, for sure, and maybe crypto more broadly. It shows that the established financial world, the institutions, the investors, they're not just curious anymore. They're actively integrating this tech.
Okay, so final thought then. Something for you, the listener, to chew on. Given Circle's successful landing on a huge traditional exchange like the NYSE,
Yeah.
what does that suggest for the future?
Yeah, what trends might we expect now regarding this ongoing integration between Wall Street and, the world of digital assets like stablecoins?
Right. How quickly might we see other digital-first financial companies try to follow Circle's path? And what other ways might these two worlds start connecting?
The bridge is definitely under construction. And Circle's IPO feels like a pretty solid, very public pillar they just put down. It makes you wonder what's next, right?